How's the day? My name is Brian Titano. One of 26 grandchildren, 33 great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. I'm honored today to take a few moments to share with you the impact that this great man had on the lives of his grandchildren. Grandpa had a shining personality and a tremendous ability to welcome everyone in his home. His laugh was unmistakable and filled with joy. He would affectionately greet us with names like Connie Baby, Jenny Girl, Vanessa Renee, Ralphie Boy, and when it just didn't rhyme or work out, Sonny Boy. And of course, my favorite, because nothing went with Brian, I simply accepted the brain. We remember Grandpa to be very meticulous and a man of great detail. Cousin Connie had me cracking up the other day when she said, you know, Grandpa would even label the food in his freezer. The pictures he had and the corresponding negatives. In fact, he even folded his plastic bags, believe it or not. His sayings and gestures were unforgettable. Clapping his hands to say, wahoo! Curling that finger to say, it's a good one. And put them together and there was trouble. Wahoo's a good one! Grandpa loved to travel and visit his family. We discovered early on that when he packed for long trips, he never actually used a suitcase. But he was the master of cardboard boxes, string, and tape. He enjoyed fishing trips with Grandma. He loved to take his grandchildren when he could, and we loved to go with him. He cherished watching his kids and his grandkids at ball games, and you could proudly see him wearing his hat or his jacket, supporting the child or grandchild he was there for. A quick story. Once Grandpa ran into the heavyweight champ, Riddick Bowe, right after a heavyweight fight, and only like Grandpa could do, walked up to him and said, "Champ! It's a good one."
That's too funny.
He loved spending hours in his garden on the hill in his backyard, often sending us up to feed his dogs and help him out. And we knew that when he was emptying all the buckets on the porch, he was just moments away from asking his grandchildren to pick all the rocks out of his garden. Grandpa was a man of honor and integrity, as illustrated through his years of service for our country and the pride for his family. He once visited his grandson Joey at his small business in Oxon Hill and was so amazed to learn that a small business could actually own a real photocopy machine. From that moment on, it was done. No more copies at the local library. He brought them all to Joey's office. However, in Grandpa fashion, he did not want to take advantage of his grandson and insisted that Joey take the 10 cents for his copy. We all know Grandpa to be a great historian. If he were here today, he could pick anyone in this room and tell you how we were related. It was important to him that the Titano legacy never be forgotten. Grandpa would frequently teach us about our culture and our family tree, all the way down to the first chief on Guam. In fact, my cousin Wayne jokes, never introduce your Chamorro girlfriend to Grandpa, because he's bound to show you how she's your cousin. Amazingly, he was able to do these things the old-fashioned way. Letters, his penmanship, phone calls, personal visits to your house. Imagine the damage he could have done if he only knew about Facebook. The interactions with his grandchildren taught us many things. It taught us faith and finance and commitment. Even with all his grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, he always reminded us that we needed to have more. We secretly think he was going for some world record. Davy and John, you remind us that when we would visit Grandpa, he would squeeze us and hold us tight and not let us go. Not until we sat there and we talked to him for a while, then he would let us go play. We cherish that. Grandpa had a way of making you feel like you were the only thing that mattered when he was there. We all know Grandpa was always right. And to try and correct him was a big, big mistake.
Yes.
As my eldest cousin, Frank, reflects, Grandpa was always overjoyed to see his great-granddaughter, Melissa. Frank was wise enough not to correct, but remind Grandpa that it was actually pronounced Marissa. Faith was important to Grandpa. We remember Grandpa always saying prayers before every meal, reminding us that God and family are first. Grandpa used to send us in the basement to retrieve bananas and pears, making us eat them even if we weren't hungry. Because we had to have our fruit. When we did something that humored Grandpa, he would make us do it over and over and over again. Just so he could laugh harder and harder. He once created a game for me and my brother Ricky. Go see who could find the most worms in the backyard. Coincidentally, always seemed to be the day before a long fishing trip. At a very young age, he wanted to teach us about finances. I remember very distinctly Grandpa saying, "Sonny, pay yourself first. Always save, because you never know." In fact, Grandpa opened up a special savings account for all of his grandchildren. And on the day of our birthday, he would deposit that exact amount in our accounts. Added up with all those grandchildren. When we had a great accomplishment, he always reminded us that it was clearly because you are a Titano. Even in the later years of his life, Cousin Tyler reminds us that when we went to visit Grandpa, and he would say, "Who are you?" And we would say, "Grandpa, your grandchild." His eyes would light up with joy and pride. And at that moment, he would hug us again like he did when we were children and say, "You are a Titano." Proving once again that no illness could overcome the love for his family. Finally, Grandpa was so dependable. He never missed an important event, like a birthday, a graduation, a wedding, or a ball game. And in these moments, Grandpa needed no words. You could often peek over at him with his arms crossed, his lips tight, his chin up, and just nodding. That is my grandchild. To that end, and to my cousins, thank you for sharing all of these memories. We're reminded every day that there are good men, there are great men, then there's Jose Salas Titano, our grandfather. May you rest in peace, and we long for the day to be with you, Grandma, and Uncle Jojo in heaven. Amen.